Tales from the Multiversal Saga. Prince Jabo entered the operations center at a near run, his cloak snapping behind him as the doors sealed beneath the glow of Central Command. Princess Suzanne stepped out from the celestial chamber, wearing the expression of someone carrying terrible news. "Brother, you are going to be upset, but this only happened within the last 40 minutes. A 3D projection of the Chris Wright system ignited between them. Chris Wright Prime rotated at the center, ringed by warning markers, red invasion vectors, and pulsing distress signals. Jabo's eyes narrowed. 40,000 rebel infantry warriors had landed across the planetary front. 400 heavy hover tanks had deployed. The invasion force had not arrived in formation. It had erupted directly into the atmosphere. Suzanne's voice sharpened. They portaled straight into the planet's atmosphere. The ships fought outward and overwhelmed the fleet before we could react. I was about to contact the June and Matrix. Jabo studied the battlefield projection. Rebel columns stretched across 300 miles, burning through Chris Wright Prime's defenses before local command could regroup. Then Jabo shook his head. "No, sister, this does not need a scalpel. We need to send a bulldozer." Suzanne went still. "I'll contact Anthar for this." "Oh, Lord, Anthar. Creator, help us. That lunatic enjoys this far too much." Jabo actually smiled. "Sister, that is one reason I love him." Suzanne shook her head with exhausted affection. "Okay then, I am out, big brother. Blockbuster is waiting for me on Bilbane." Far away on Bilbane, one of Archaishan's magnificent floating cities, palace towers shimmered above impossible clouds. Then Jabo's voice thundered through every corridor. "Anthar! To Central Command immediately!" Anthar looked up. That was all. No panic, no question, no delay. He turned toward the docking chamber, long silver hair moving over his armor, as if the universe had offered him entertainment. Drulin joined him before he reached the hangar. She moved like living starlight, her skin a luminous field of space, stars, and constellations drifting across her body, as if galaxies had chosen her as their sky. Together, they entered Anthar's personalized, heavily modified Interdictor-class fighter. The silver craft carried the royal emblem on its nose, sleek and predatory beneath the docking lights. The launch clamps released. The fighter vanished into space. Its velocity indicator climbed to 80 times the speed of light, as Central Command grew from a distant point into a colossal fortress among the stars. Drulin glanced toward her betrothed. "Do you think it is serious, my love?" Anthar did not hesitate. "Hopefully." Drulin sighed. "You know, most people do not answer that way. Most people are dull." Moments later, the Interdictor docked aboard Central Command. Anthar and Drulin strode into the operations center, where Jabo stood before the projection of Chris Wright Prime. Jabo spoke immediately. "Anthar, I need your special talents on Chris Wright Prime." Anthar folded his arms. "Any restrictions this time, cousin?" Jabo pointed at him. "No friendly casualties will be tolerated, under any circumstances, Anthar. Am I understood?" Anthar sighed dramatically, as if Jabo had ruined his afternoon. "Fine, Supreme Prince Commander Jabo." The sarcasm could have dented armor. Jabo ignored it. "Go get it done. The 4012th Fleet will rendezvous shortly after arrival." Then his tone hardened. "Anthar, again, no friendlies." Anthar turned toward the exit. "Fine!" The doors closed behind him, with far more force than necessary. Drulin looked at Jabo. "He heard you." Jabo exhaled. "Yes, that is what concerns me." Anthar and Drulin returned to the Interdictor and launched for the Chris Wright system. Drulin stood beside him beneath the cockpit glow, radiant and immense, the younger sister of Saiyan, 8 feet and 3 inches of cosmic power shaped into royal grace. She was not as powerful as Saiyan or Princess Suzanne, but on most battlefields, that distinction meant nothing. Chris Wright Prime appeared ahead, wrapped in smoke, lightning, and orbital fire. Anthar plunged the fighter straight into the atmosphere. Clouds tore apart around the craft. The hull screamed through heated air. Rebel artillery tracked them too late. The Interdictor stopped 2,000 feet above the battlefield with impossible precision. Below, the rebel front stretched to the horizon. Infantry swarmed between hover tanks. Black banners snapped in the toxic wind. Anthar smiled. Drulin saw it and muttered, "Oh dear." Without warning, Anthar launched himself from the fighter. He struck the ground behind the rebel formation like falling judgment. Both double-sided battle axes came free. Then the berserker state took him. Anthar's eyes became solid white, burning without pupils, without mercy, without restraint. His axes flared fiery orange, each arc carving molten light through the smoke. He charged. The first rebel line disappeared. Not broke, not retreated. Disappeared. Anthar moved faster than fear could travel. His axes became a storm of orange fire, and every swing felled scores of rebel warriors. Drulin streaked from the fighter a heartbeat later, luminous skin alive with wheeling stars. She descended on the rebel front with both hands raised. Cosmic blasts erupted from her palms. Thousands of enemy infantrymen were vaporized beneath waves of blue-white power. Rebel fire hammered against her shields and vanished, useless as rain against a sun. Anthar used no shields. He rejected the cosmic powers granted through his birthright. He wanted steel, speed, muscle, and impact. To Anthar, every swing of his axe should be a killing stroke. If he was not killing something, why swing at all? Drulin tore holes through battalions. Anthar carved through everything behind them. The rebels had invaded a planet. They had not expected to be attacked by a natural disaster with a beard. Above Chrysaorite Prime, the 4012th Fleet arrived. MIF warships burst from hyperspace and opened fire on the rebel ICAD cruisers responsible for delivering the invasion force. Orbital darkness flashed with cannon fire. One rebel cruiser split from bow to stern. Another vanished inside a sphere of white flame. Then, an ICAD ground invasion cruiser descended through the clouds under MIF control. 5 drop boxes fell across the 300-mile battle line. They slammed into the ground. Their doors opened. 50,000 MIF infantry warriors advanced from the smoke, supported by 500 heavy hover tanks. Their formation expanded with disciplined precision, ready to retake the planet. The counterattack had begun. Jabo watched from Central Command and opened a mental hyperlink with Anthar. "Stand down." Anthar did not answer. He kept moving through the rebels, eyes glowing solid white, axes blazing fiery orange with every swing. Jabo's jaw tightened. "Anthar, stand down." Still nothing. Jabo closed his eyes for one controlled second. Then he opened a mental hyperlink with Drulin. "Drulin, stand him down." Drulin turned. Across the battlefield, Anthar was no longer simply fighting. He was hunting every rebel life sign in range. She knew that look. She knew that silence. She knew the storm inside him. If no one stopped him, he would not stop until every rebel was dead, no matter where they ran. Drulin flew at full speed. She struck him from behind and wrapped both arms around him. Anthar roared. "Release me!" He thrashed hard enough to shatter the ground beneath them, but Drulin held him. Stars and constellations rolled across her luminous skin as she tightened her grip. "My love, calm your storm. The MIF forces are here. They need to advance. Our job is done. Jabo needs us clear." Anthar struggled again. Drulin did not move. Slowly, the white fire in his eyes faded. The axes lowered. The fiery orange glow died along their edges. At last, Anthar looked at her. Drulin's voice softened. "That look, beloved, it always terrifies me." Anthar's rage retreated behind something gentler. "It is never directed at you, nor is it for you, my love. Nevertheless, it terrifies me whenever I see it in your eyes. It looks like pure rage incarnate." For a moment, battlefield thunder rolled around them. Then Anthar nodded once. Together, they returned to the interdictor and launched away from the battlefield. The moment they cleared the combat zone, the MIF forces advanced without obstruction. Infantry lines pushed forward. Hover tanks crushed rebel armor. The remaining invasion force collapsed beneath disciplined fire and relentless pressure. No friendly casualties were taken. Back aboard Central Command, Jabo exited the Celestial Chamber and entered the Operations Center. Anthar stood waiting, arms crossed, face unreadable. Jabo fixed him with a hard stare. "Anthar, you are an extremely valuable asset to me. You need to listen when I give you an order." Anthar shrugged. "Look, there were rebels, and my axes were not satisfied. Do you wish me to apologize?" Jabo inhaled slowly. "No, Anthar. No apologies are needed. But I need you to follow my directions. Do you understand me, cousin?" Anthar straightened slightly. "Yes, Supreme Prince Commander Prince Jabo. I understand." His response was flat, emotionless, and somehow still insulting. Jabo stared at him. Drulin quietly smiled. Somewhere on Chrysaorite Prime, the last rebel banner fell into the dust. And across the stars, a new legend entered the record. Tales from the Multiversal Saga